cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Well, Fred, it's one of those days where it seems like the world has gone to hell. 10:30 this morning Pacific time, 2:30, 1:30, depending on what time zone you're in. A gunman opened fire on the campus of Umpqua Community College in Oregon, killing 13, wounding 20. As of now, whenever there's these types of situations, the numbers seem to change quite rapidly. And we were talking about this before the show. Not really the topic we wanted to start with, but it's the biggest story going on right now. And of course, we didn't want to start with it because A, it's a tragic story, and we really just want to make fart and dick jokes. And B, really, and as the president said in a speech shortly before we went on air, this is becoming all too routine. The reporting's becoming routine. The debate that happens in the days after becomes routine. His response becomes routine. And it's almost getting to the point now where we sort of just yawn about it because it happens every day.
There's a lot of copycat similarities from these occurrences, right? There's a lot of, like you just said, not just with the tragedy itself, but in the aftermath and the reporting and the response. It's a played out story, and I don't understand personally the individual struggles, but there has to be a pattern at this point to where you would think that these individuals could become identifiable
before it happens.
You would think, and I'm looking right now for the numbers, and I'm sorry I don't have them this second, Mike, but I will before we're done with this conversation. I don't know what the number of school shootings is, be it high school or collegiate, since like Columbine, but there's no doubt in my mind it is a sharp rise from mass shootings before 2000.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned the copycat angle because it seemed about the time of the Virginia Tech shooting, there seemed to be a big push, not only in public opinion, but in the media as well, to only report as much as needs to be reported when it comes to the shooters, because that's a concern. Are these people out here looking for their 15 minutes of fame? If you keep covering the shooters, are they going to become like sort of a hero to sick, twisted minds out there and inspire other people to do it? Now, you said that you didn't quite have the number of school.
I have a number here, Mike. It is, unfortunately, it is 1 year old, and it's from the New York Times. But since the Columbine shooting, there have been 181 shootings, and that is as of June of 2014.
Well, and the news is throwing out a whole bunch of stats and figures. When it comes to the shooting, one is that this is the third college shooting since August. And weirdly enough, talking about this becoming routine, this is the first one that I've heard about on the news. Since the beginning of the year, there has been over 40 shootings at schools. And the Washington Post put up a graphic here. It says that there's been 274 days so far this year, and there's been 294 mass shootings. And they classify mass shootings as there being 4+ victims, including the shooting. So, it's not shocking us anymore because it's becoming common. And Fred, I've always been a Second Amendment guy, probably the most conservative thing about me. And I still do believe in it to its core principles. But, maybe if people want to have a conversation about, modifying gun safety laws, about stricter background checks, maybe it's time we stop, those of us who support the Second Amendment, stop going, la, 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 and maybe listen and maybe have a conversation about it. Because the numbers are proving that it's becoming a problem, and the fact that it happens so often, and it's becoming less and less of a story every day on the news until you get a number like 13 killed, 20 wounded. I think that also points to the fact that, maybe we need to rethink a few things.
I own a firearm. I don't talk about that a ton because it doesn't really seem like a talking point. I keep it in my home. I keep it within a relatively close distance to me at most times. I live near St. Louis, Missouri, so it's not necessarily the safest place on earth, but I by no means feel unsafe where I live. In my opinion, if you are of a fit mind, you should be able to own a gun. And that's in my opinion.
Right.
Now, if you don't agree or if you're having that, and that's fine, I'll listen to your argument, and more than likely, I'll believe that you believe that argument more than likely.
And it's funny, Fred, when it comes to gun control being for or against, I have this feeling when it comes to most political opinions, most people have their opinion because they feel it's what's best for the country at large. So people who are for less gun restrictions, they're for that because they feel like less gun restrictions is what's best for the country. People think that we need more gun restrictions, feel that way because they feel that's what's best for the country. So when you keep that in mind, it's easier to have a conversation with someone without thinking that they're, some tree-hugging hippie or some gun-crazy cowboy.
Crazy comes in a lot of shapes and colors and sizes, right?
Yeah.
So if we're going to try to identify crazy, we're going to spend most of this argument even defining what crazy is. And to the college campus today, I graduated from my second university 3 years ago, and me at 27 compared to some kids at 19, 20, 21, there was a gigantic disconnect in what I would consider a relatively short amount of time, just 5 or 6 years. And the atmosphere at college when I was 27 was considerably different than the atmosphere at college when I was 19. And I can only imagine the difference even now, where there is a culture, in my opinion, Mike, where individuals are coddled, they're encouraged to be individuals, and I don't mean that in a way where like everyone's unique and special. I mean that in a way of your idea and your belief and your opinion is fair game to everyone else in the world, and you should express that to everyone else in the world, and we support you being you, as opposed to when I was coming up and it was groupthink is probably best for you here, man. Like you need to go to class just like everyone else. You need to do this stuff just like everyone else. And I didn't feel that I was able to, I didn't feel that I should for any reason try to bring attention to myself as the individual. And I feel that's considerably different now. I feel now with these many social media outlets and like I said, this environment where if you choose to, you can be shielded from opinions and ideas and beliefs that you don't accept or believe in or whatever verbiage you want to use. And therefore, whenever you're outraged or you're upset or whenever you're whatever, you go to outlandish actions, and everything here is projection, obviously, but you take what I would consider pretty regular circumstances that happen to regular people all across the country and individualize them in such a way that they become unmanageable. And that's a crazy concept to me, that things that affect normal people normally, you can believe affect you extraordinarily. And I think it's the culture of universities.
Yeah, well, Fred, and I think the rabbit hole we're going down here is the same rabbit hole we always go down when something like this happens. And we're trying to rationalize the irrational. And a lot of times we have people like, oh, don't come up with excuses. It's not an excuse, okay? It's just we're trying to get into the mind of why the hell somebody would do this. And sometimes you can't. And, I do think that you have a point, and I think that this could contribute to a lot of sort of the mania going on. It seems like we live in an age where everything is over exaggerated, like you just said. If you have a disagreement with somebody, it's not a disagreement. It's this guy's a libtard, or this guy's a fascist conservative, or hey, if we vote for this politician, the country's going to get ruined one way. If we vote for that politician, he's going to ruin the country, but in an opposite way. And I think that we're made to be so fearful and so crazy that you take someone who's mentally unstable to begin with, and you start just throwing all these extremes at them, and they just snap, or they lose touch with reality. But like I said, this is a rabbit hole that it's impossible to dig yourself out of, because it's trying to rationalize the irrational.
There's something to be said about the lead up, right? There's something to be said about everything beforehand. And what I'm talking about right now is the Oregon shooter, and we're not going to use his name.
I don't even know it, and you know what? I don't care to know it.
Yeah, he apparently, like often most people do, made perhaps a cry for help on a very popular social media site, 4chan, and on that site he had he talked about his idea and his plan and stuff, and the internet has become such a place, and bear with me on this comparison. Whenever To Catch a Predator was trending real heavy, the thing you would always hear the guy say was, hey, this is just fantasy, this is not real, this is just the internet. And it's the same kind of concept here, where these people who egg him on and and say, hey man, you're a pussy, you won't do it, and other people say you'll be a hero if you do it, and these messages and things, they seem harmless to those people broadcasting. They seem harmless to me reading them, but they're the guy that was seeking this kind of encouragement obviously takes this and runs with it, and it's a very dangerous time, man, when you are constantly connected to individuals that are going to either feed or feed on your emotions, and how you take that and you disperse it into real life is just fascinating on one hand, but just terrifying on the other.
Well, and it's weird, because you said something at the beginning of this conversation, which I've thought, which I'm sure a lot of people have thought out there. There's got to be a way by now to find these people, or at least to see the signs and stop it before it happens. But when you think about it, how are you going to do it? Because Fred, I'm sure that in high school, maybe even at work every day, you run across somebody who, if they lash out and do something down the road, you can kind of retrace the steps and say, that was a sign, that was a sign, that was a sign. But everyday people probably exhibit these signs every day and don't end up doing it. And then when it comes to the message boards like 4chan, which at times seems like it's the scourge of the online world. When you see somebody saying stuff like this on these message boards, you think they're just talking smack. You think that they're just keyboard warriors, and then probably the people egging them on are either sick folks who are sociopathic themselves, or they figure, look, this guy's just effing around. He's not going to do anything. Let's troll each other. Let's have a flame war. And they think nothing of it, because people go online and talk a big game all the time, and most of them don't follow through.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you go to a place like 4chan or Reddit or any of these like social media interactive threads.
Yeah, like message boards for the entire internet.
And I'm a guy who self-described a little bit alpha, right? And when I was coming up, message boards were solely about college football teams. Like, that's all it was, right? You would get on the internet and you would...
Or which band is for posers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And these harmless topics, why Illinois is better than Mizzou, it would just be a giant circle jerk, right? So now, and the only way that can really play out is on a Saturday afternoon, and then that's the end of that conversation until next year. Well, unfortunately now, and maybe it's been like this way all along, and I just didn't have any concept, but allegedly the shooter, he was calling this shooting the Beta Uprising, saying like he is not only is he going to, as a beta individual, which is a term that means like a lesser being,
right, the opposite of alpha,
right? He is going to rise and identify alphas, which is his self-identification process, who God only knows what that is, people who acted superior to him, I would assume, and then he was going to systematically kill them. And then he believed that allegedly he believed that this act would cause other people who self-identify as betas to do the same thing, like in some sort of encouragement. And
wow.
and the circle jerk that is terrifying, man. Just absolutely terrifying.
Well, Fred, and we talked about it earlier, the copycat aspect. I mean, it sounds like this guy's trying to inspire copycats, and it seems like a case of small dick syndrome gone terribly awry. This is a guy, and I believe this is what happened with that. He was the son of a film director, and he made a YouTube video right before he shot up a school out in California, talking about how chicks won't date him, and he feels powerless. And I guess that's what happens. You get these people who feel powerless, and instead of standing up for themselves in the moment, or instead of coping with it in a normal, healthy way, they internalize it, and then they snap. And that seems to be a common thread when it comes to a lot of these shootings.
There's not just this shooting, but we're talking about mindset. I know we're pushing a little long right now.
Sorry.
But that Michelle Carter, that teen in Massachusetts who texted her boyfriend, urging him to finally pull through and commit suicide or whatever.
God, yeah, right.
Yeah, and this trended through the news. I guess this would have been late August, early September.
About a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing, right? Like, to take a loose leaf idea like as a one-off, right? Like, oh man, I'm going to kill myself, or oh man, I'm going to kill a bunch of people. And that's not a healthy thought. Like, don't hear me saying that, but that's a fleeting idea that will leave you. That is not something you're going to necessarily do. But then once you take that and you put it in a public forum, or you entrust it with someone, and for whatever reason, people feel through text or the keyboard or through digital interactions that the filtering process is less. Like, just because you feel comfortable opening up and saying things that you might not necessarily say face to face, you interpret everyone else the same way, correct?
Right.
So, like, there is a tone that you add to your thoughts and the messages you're receiving that can cause you to do some pretty incredible things. And I'm talking about killing yourself or killing others or name them. You know what I mean? And
it's weird. It's a weird mob mentality that's isolating at the same time, if that makes sense.
I'm very fortunate in my life. I know a lot of people that I interact with daily, and we're fortunate to do this program where I know we have a lot of listeners that care, and I do some other stuff. So I'm able to get my voice out there to a lot of people, and it is very rewarding to me, but it's all positive stuff. I can only imagine if I was to get my voice out there to people, and instead of having positive reviews and feedback, if it was, I don't know, man. I would think I would just quit, though. I guess I don't know. I don't understand the burden. I don't personally get it, and it fascinates me.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there's something broken in someone's brain to go from keyboard warrior to armed killer. And you don't understand that, Fred, because that mechanism in your brain is not there.
Right.
Your brain may be broken in some ways, and you may be somewhat twisted like everyone else, but you're not that twisted, and you're not that broken. And I think that's what makes it hard for people whenever something like this happens, Fred, and I'm around someone else, and they say, "Why would you do that?" I don't know. I don't know because I never would, so I can't give you an answer, and that's why you can't give me an answer either.
No, you're right. I mean, the final thought on it is obviously, I'm not a man of religion, but like thoughts and prayers and well wishes and that is just a terrible thing to happen to what sounds like a pretty small knit community. That is, no one should have to bear that burden. And obviously this guy's no longer, this guy's dead now. He was killed by the police today. So I mean, if he had an afterlife he believed in, may he rot in hell, because this is just the absolute worst thing. These are the things that this is bottom of the barrel for me. So
well said. Have nothing else to add. It's the Weigh-In, weightinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. Yeah, see, Fred, I knew you'd do well with that topic, even though you didn't know anything about it till we talked about it.
Well, I read about it a little bit.
Yeah.
4chan stuff is crazy to me. Did you read any of that shit?
No, actually, I haven't really delved that deep into it. I mean, I was watching the news. I watched the president's speech. But I mean, I meant it. I really have no interest in learning anything about this killer, but the stuff you brought up was interesting. You want to talk about the People app, or do you want to save that for a later segment?
Yeah, let's put that down the road just a little bit, because I got jokes there, so I need to come out of jokes.
Okay.
From where we. Okay. I mean, what else we got going on? Russia into ISIS. What else we got?
Into that, let's see. I've got a couple of other hodgepodge talk topics. If you wanted to talk about those.
Yeah, what you got?
I got a couple weird. I've got a couple of weird things. One, a dead Facebook friend of mine had a birthday today, and
oh yeah, I can do that. Let's do it.
Okay. And I got something else too about the CEO of our company. So we're changed. So I want to talk about how weird coworkers get when when there's a change in management. Yeah,
I'm ready. I'll bring it back.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, 6:20. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now back to the Weigh-In.
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
Weightinradio.com.
So Mike, that's why I only dated black girls in high school, because I have a real issue like meeting fathers.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, once you go slow, it's time to go.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anyone's.
No, I need something to rhyme. I'm sorry.
There is. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to talk about. We just kind of come off a heavy topic, so I don't want this next segment or what we're doing for the rest of the show to reflect on that. That is a. That's it, but we're here to entertain, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna find what we need to find, and we're gonna
bummer out of the way to begin with.
Yeah. I think you brought up a real neat thing earlier this week. You were talking about people. We're at a day and age to where whenever you pass, it's not whenever you die. Whenever you do pass, for whatever reason, you don't just disappear necessarily like you used to, right? Like your obituary in the paper is not the end of you. Are you following me?
Yeah, well, it's funny too. We're very uncomfortable with death in this society. Now, referencing our earlier segment, that makes sense because those deaths were tragic and premature. But I'm just talking about death to begin with, overall. Like you said, when somebody passes, you didn't say they died. When somebody dies, there's a lot of ways to kind of soften the blow of your language. And this is something that people weren't dealing with 15 years ago. When you die, your Facebook,
your digital presence everywhere.
Yeah. And a friend of mine passed away a couple of years ago. He wasn't particularly old. He was in his 50s. Obviously not particularly healthy. He had a heart attack, and turns out today is his birthday. It came across my Facebook that so-and-so's birthday was today, and it's been a topic on many of my shows at how impersonal birthday greetings on Facebook are, and I think it's proof of my theory when you see someone who's dead being wished happy birthday by people on Facebook, because obviously these people wishing them a happy birthday aren't staying in touch.
Right. The longer you stay on Facebook, Mike, the more dead friends you're going to have on Facebook.
That's true. When we're 80, you know, it's going to be like you're probably going to have about 5 alive friends, if you're lucky enough to be alive, and the rest will be dead.
There's actually a function on Facebook, I don't know if you're familiar with this, to where if you have a friend or a colleague or a loved one pass, you can then notify Facebook that this person has passed. You have to provide some legal stuff, but then they will put that account into a memoriam, into a remembrance, and then next to your name it will say memorialized or not memorial, remembering next to your name and your account. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. Huh. That's odd. That's so weird. So that's kind of a bummer then for the people who are being wished a happy birthday like they're still alive, because nobody notified Facebook. Well, you know it's a weird thing to think about too, Fred. I know that Facebook's not really cool anymore. I mean, teenagers aren't getting onto Facebook. They're using Snapchat and Yik Yak and probably something I've never heard of yet. But do you think there'll come a time where Facebook needs to make room on the server, so they're going to delete a whole bunch of dead people's profiles?
No, I would say hard no.
I hope.
Yeah, no, because it's like anything, man. They're just memories. You know what I mean? That would be like, you don't delete every dead person's Wikipedia page. You know, like,
right?
Yeah, like there's and I don't know if you know what you know about Facebook server farms, but they're, you know, like 1/2 of the Earth's electricity or whatever it is. So it's like they're gigantic. But yeah, I do not believe that these profiles or this information is going to go anywhere. But I do believe that there's going to be, and it may exist now and I don't know about it, but there will be a service to kind of clean all that stuff up for you, you know, when you're gone. Like for instance, Mike, if the time comes that I die, I don't want my last Facebook post to be like a share where I could win, like, you know, one of these unopened iPads that fell off the truck or whatever.
Right. Or like updating from the toilet. Man, I knew I shouldn't have had that third taco.
Right, and then you literally die from it or something.
Right, like Elvis on the toilet, you die.
I have on my Facebook, I don't know, some kids I grew up with that have died kind of young, you know, for many reasons. And depending on how they passed and their age, often on their anniversary of their death, or I don't know, what is that called? I guess your mortem day. I don't know what that would be.
Yes, the day you died.
Yeah. So on the anniversary of that, and then also on their birthdays or whatever, if you go to those, there are some really encouraging words often. There's some nice messages from some people that really do give an F about you, you know, people you were connected with or close to. And I think those things are great for family members and friends and other individuals who care about those people. But yeah, like you said, there's just opposite of that. There's the hollow, you know, maybe you're friends with the local bar and they're like, happy birthday, come in for a free appetizer.
Or it's the same jerk who we talked about last week you see at the mall after never talking to him in high school. Then they say we should hang out. I mean, Fred, there are literally people I forget exist except for once a year when they wish me a happy birthday.
Yeah, I have 1,600 Facebook friends, and I post pretty regularly here and on Twitter or whatever, and I get no action from them. But come my birthday time, they, you know, happy birthday, and then they don't put a comma and then put Fred. That's how I rate if I like it or not. If your punctuation is correct, I'll click like. If your punctuation is not correct, then I'm not down with you.
Well, you know, it's just as disingenuous as the happy birthday on Facebook is the status that the birthday boy or girl has to post at the end of the day saying, oh, I'm overwhelmed by all the birthday messages. I have such amazing friends and family who took 2 seconds out of their life after Facebook reminded them that it was my birthday.
I also like the one where there's the person who counts them. So I can't believe I got over 100 birthday wishes or whatever. It's like, oh man, yeah, don't count that.
Yeah,
Mine would be like, Mike, I can't believe I got over 4 thumb scrolls.
Well, I think that's a telltale sign that someone had a terrible birthday, that they had time to count all the birthday messages that they received.
This is so weird, man. But yes, keep staying alive, Mike. You're gonna have a lot more dead friends. So
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? If I'm 80 on my 80th birthday, if I'm still alive, I'm gonna post something like, "I outlasted all you mother effers" or something badass.
Who's gonna read it though?
Nobody.
Yeah, last every single one of them.
Fred, you're tall and overweight, so you're gonna be dead long before me.
Hey, here's a fun fact before we go to break. Mike, did you know that no individual that is over 6 foot tall has ever lived 100 years?
Really? No, I did not know that.
Isn't that crazy?
That sucks, man.
Yeah, well, I got it coming.
Right. But you know what? Talking about those messages that people leave for you on your Facebook when you die, you know, and of course, if you know the younger you are, the more you're going to get of that, because you know there's more of your friends who are alive. Wouldn't it be nice if people said the nice stuff that they say about you after you die while you're still alive? I think that's why. I don't know if you know this, Fred, but we're coming up. Chelsea from upstairs and I have been married for almost a year, and I think that. Thank you. And I think the thing I liked most about our wedding day, other than recovering most of the finances that we expended on the wedding, was everybody saying nice things about you. And at work, I have a guy getting married this weekend, and I say, hey, it's going to be a great day because people are going to say nice things about you, like it's your funeral, but you're alive to enjoy them.
I know exactly what you're talking about as far as, because you feel guarded. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if someone talks to you like this, and here's a perfect example of what you're talking about. We put out episode 6 on Monday, right? So that's 3 days ago. And a friend of mine who I know is also kind of a fan of mine, she sends me this message on Facebook, and I didn't tell you I was going to read this, but you brought this up. She says, hey, I always love listening to you talk about stuff. You're so likable, and I'm really proud of all the stuff you've accomplished. And you don't know what to say to that, you know? So I just say, hey, I appreciate that. You know, I often take for granted, you know, how much fun / success I've had, you know, with this hobby turned profession. And then she goes into this long diatribe about like people she grew up with and just, you know, literally like how she's proud to be my friend. And I think, well, this is just the sweetest effing thing I've ever heard from a girl that I really respect, you know? And her taking that little bit of time to say those kind things to me, you know, that fuels you for the week. You know, right. You're gonna hold on to that for a while, and obviously it goes back and forth for a little bit, but if you're able to just kind of pass those positive vibes on to people, then I mean that stuff's gonna reciprocate. It's gonna come back to you, and hopefully they can feed it forward a little bit.
Well, and you know what? I found that's more constructive than rooting against people who are assholes. I actually had an epiphany today, Fred, while I was driving to 7-Eleven to pick up some hamburger buns.
That's where most epiphanies happen.
And I don't know how I got onto this train of thought, but I used to get kind of frustrated when someone who I viewed as an asshole had some degree of success. And I admittedly would have a feeling of vengeful glee when somebody who I felt to be an asshole was facing some adversity. And, you know, I'm 31, Fred. I'm tired. And you know what? I no longer root against somebody just because they happen to be an asshole. Not because I'm growing up, not because I'm better than that. It's just, it's a waste of energy, and I'm too tired for it. So I think what happens as you get older and older, you don't really become a better person. You just become too tired to be as petty as you were when you were growing up.
There's something to be said about envy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're younger, and I know you said at your age of 31, when you're younger and you're growing, you don't know a lot and you haven't experienced a lot, right? So the things that you do see and the things you do interact with, that's all you've ever seen and that's all you've ever interacted with. So so you put those things maybe on a pedestal, and you want those things, and specifically if an individual that maybe you don't have the most respect for whatever reason you have issues with, they achieve those things. Yeah, I can see how envy is a big hurdle for someone to overcome. But then once you get a little older, because I feel like this happened to me, like Mike Parsons, your core values and your core beliefs do not reflect on my core values and my core beliefs, right?
Right.
So the way you interpret things and the way you approach things, it's not the way I interpret things and approach things. Therefore, we can coexist in the same universe and have absolutely no sort of qualm with each other. And I think it takes time for that to happen for everyone. I think it takes time for people to not be upset when a guy who's maybe a couple of years younger to them gets hired into the company at a higher wage or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not your fault that person has found success, and vice versa. It's not that person's fault that you haven't found the success that you define as your success.
Right. Exactly. Right. They have nothing to do with you.
Right.
And all of the envy, all of the jealousy, all of the sitting around saying that's not fair. You know, a lot of people think that they're entitled to things just because they're a good person. And, you know, life's not a Disney movie. So you kind of expending all this energy, you know, to be spiteful, be envious, be jealous, it's not going to help you. So, I mean, if you want to put in that context, it's not benefiting you. And this person who you're burning up thinking about, they're not thinking about you. So let it go and focus on something else.
Well, in our field, specifically me, Mike, because I don't want to speak for you, but when I was growing up, I was like, I'm always been a funny guy, and I've always liked the spotlight a little bit. It would make sense if I was maybe a little jealous of a guy like Robin Williams, right? Well, Robin Williams had his own demons. He had his own things going on, and that's what I'm talking about. Like don't make what you perceive like some sort of unobtainable goal, because you absolutely have no idea what this individual is up against or in their life. Or another, like Jim Carrey just had like a thing going on in his life. I do not envy that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, do you be about yourself, and then when the time comes, do your best to help someone achieve what they're trying to do, but by no means take your level of success and compare it to someone else's level of success, because just like we were talking about earlier about in the first segment, talking about the reasons why people do stuff, we can spend an hour defining what success is.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of people see fame and notoriety as a measuring stick of success. But talk to anyone who has any degree of fame, whether it's national, international, or local. There's a chance that person has had death threats against themselves or their families. And, you know, like I said, you know, stuff like that, should it deter you from doing what you're doing? But also, it's a heavy price to pay as well. I mean, your loss of peace of mind, your loss of anonymity and privacy, that's a price you pay. And people don't think that. They just, you know, they just see that these people are out all over the place. They're being photographed. You know, they're living the high life, and it's not necessarily that.
Well, and I think famous and infamous are pretty closely associated, right? Yeah. So I'm fortunate enough to locally have a little bit of regional fame, right? Like, because I do some broadcast stuff, and if a guy gets mad at me at the bar, he's going to call me Mr. Radio, like it's an insult, right? But if
I love it when people like take an innocuous fact about yourself and then they say it in this tone like it's an insult. Like, yeah. Hey, Fred, why don't you go sit down and be tall?
No, you're absolutely right. But let's say I'm not a radio guy, right? Let's say I make that guy mad anyways, but I work at Papa John's, right? He's calling me Mr. Pizza Delivery. It's the same idea. It's the same concept. And regardless of what you're doing, it's a dig on a thing that you claim. Like, yeah, man, I claim to be a radio guy. Yeah, man, I could claim to be a pizza delivery guy. Like that doesn't define me as who I am. Please don't take my level of success in radio or my level of success in delivering pizzas and hold that against me in any sort of way, because it doesn't apply. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Hey, radio guy, why do you love radio so much? What's the matter? Didn't get enough radio growing up? You got to overcompensate now? Oh, wow, we got to go. Yeah, we're late for a break. It's the Weigh-In, weighinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. While we were having that conversation, I was trying to think how we got from Facebook deaths to what to what we were talking. I'll have to go back and listen to that tape.
My bad, man. I'm on one right now.
No, that's all right.
I'm ranting like a motherfucker right now.
It happened organically. I was just like, while we were all being when we were being inspirational and stuff, I was like, how did we get here?
Hey, I should shoot you the text this girl sent me. Like it goes on to like get into some kind of detailed stuff about like us growing up together and stuff. But it's just the nicest fucking words I've ever read from anyone.
That's good. Well, so far the show's bigger in St. Louis than it is in Detroit, which isn't much of a wow.
She's the white one. Look at this whole little thing she's in here. Like a whole stop. That's like a whole phone full. That's an iPhone 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you've been hearing some feedback. I haven't really yet, but
Ryan Z picked up today.
That's true. That was actually a really nice thing Ryan Z said about how podcasting may be my second best choice.
Andy Kaufman, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. But what time did we start this thing? I feel like it's supposed to be a half hour, but we're at 40 minutes already.
Well, I think we started like I got a text message. I got a call from my wife at 5:44, which was like a minute into what we were doing.
Okay, cool. All right. Do you want?
I didn't answer. Oh,
she should know you're podcasting. Well, actually, she shouldn't because this isn't when we normally do it. Okay. I'll bring us in. You want to talk the People app here?
Yeah, about time.
Okay. So, shit. 7:24. This take us to like 7:39. I mean, that's pretty much the show. We might as well just take it 7:40, and then that'll be the end.
Good job today, man.
Yeah, you too. All right, this is fun. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I've been on the radio quite a bit, but I want to do it like as a part-time thing. Not to make money, but because I love hearing myself on the radio.
Weightinradio.com.
And by the way, Fred, we're broadcasting today on a Thursday night because, as I said, it was this weekend is my 1-year wedding anniversary. So we're going out of town, and on our wedding anniversary weekend, Fred, there's one rule: no podcasting with Fred Slow.
Dang, bogus! Most bogus rule I ever heard.
I mean, nothing against you. It's just that my bride probably wouldn't be too happy if I took an hour out of our vacation. Hold on. I got a podcast with Fred Slow here.
How often is 1 year the day when you have to stop calling her your bride?
I don't know. I guess I guess you stop calling her your bride when you're sick of her. I don't know. I would ask you that because you've been married for how long now?
We've been married for 5 years, and I feel like I quickly made the transition from bride to wife.
Well, you know what I find annoying, and I tried to avoid during the engagement process, and usually women are more guilty of this. They love to drop the term "my fiance" into every sentence.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they're proud of the ring. I don't know if it's to shove it in the face of other spiteful bitches who don't have a man yet. But I notice when women get engaged, they love to remind you as much as possible that they have a fiance.
Caddy is what that is.
Right. Like, me and my fiance, we ordered pizza. I like pizza with just cheese, but my fiance likes pepperoni. So my fiance decided to get it half cheese, half pepperoni. Then my fiance went and got it. It's like, okay, engaged.
I love my wife. I love like the women in my life that are important to me. I love them. I have a work girlfriend. I think we've talked about this before.
And your wife's cool with that, right?
And she's perfectly fine with it. I mean, I need this girl through work. I have to have her because like my work experience would suck without her. Anyway, she wears a ring on her wedding finger all the time, and she's just like a single girl. Like, but she wants the attention of that ring on her finger.
Fred, did you buy her that ring?
No, I did not. My God,
your work wife? Was that thing in Goodfellas? Their club Friday was for girlfriends, Saturdays were for wives, or something.
Yeah, no, that makes that. Well, it like I win like a gold medal at the Olympics, and afterwards I'm like, I want to thank my wife. I want to thank my girlfriend. I want to thank everyone that helped me get here.
I want to thank my wife and my other wife. Fred, if your two wives had to rate you online on say something that's a Yelp for people instead of restaurants, how would they rate you?
They would. One of them's more clever than the other, so she would use like verbiage that didn't seem so scathing. So like,
Please quit. Stop talking about how much you like your work wife better than your real wife.
she would. So one of them, I'm not saying which, would say he's great at multitasking. He can keep a lot of things in the air. Great at keeping a secret. Not trustworthy, but well, because I have both. I have both those things.
He's a phenomenal lunchroom lover.
So what you're saying, Mike, is if you ever get the urge to rate your friends and colleagues like restaurants,
Yeah.
like exposing like their strengths and obviously like their flaws and like put it on the internet where we just discussed it will be forever.
Yeah.
Is that something you would take advantage of?
No, it sounds like a bigger scourge on humanity than the dislike button on Facebook.
Sadly, Mike, there's a brand new app called People, P-E-E-P, less E's, P-E-E-P-L-E, and it's coming out, man, coming out in the App Store in late November, and there it is going to allow you as an individual who has this app to enter anyone's name that you interact with and write a either praising or scathing review of that person that will exist forever in the People database, and there's nothing you can do.
Do you ever read Yelp, Fred?
Yeah, whenever I'm like trying to pick out a restaurant in a neighborhood I'm not familiar with.
So on Yelp, the good reviews, they just click a star rating. The only people who write anything are the bad reviews. This is going to tear more people apart than the dearly departed MySpace top 8.
Ooh, that was heat. That was heat when I was a kid.
Fred, have you ever, back in the MySpace era, did you ever break up with a girl, but you were quote unquote still friends, and then you kind of knew who she was seeing by seeing how far you declined on her top 8 and which guy sort of kind of crept towards you, and then you knew it was serious when the two of you were like transposed. It's like, okay, well, I went from 1 to 2. Okay, who's number 1? Oh, okay, it's her best friend I know here. Hey, who's this Steve guy? And then the next week, Steve's from number 8 to number 6, and then he's 5, and you're down to 4, and then one day you're switched, and you know it's over. That's the dagger through the heart.
There are a lot of different types of people in my life, Mike. I have friends, right? I have family members. I have neighbors. I have like employees. I have a boss. I have a work girlfriend. I have all these different things. And the same way that I rate restaurants, I'm going to have to rate these things differently. I don't rate like fine dining the same way that I rate like a Subway and a gas station.
Right. Like you're not going to hold a McDonald's to the same standard as a Shula's Steakhouse. Like you go to a McDonald's, it's clean. There's not used toilet paper all over the bathroom. Hey, that McDonald's gets 5 stars. The Shula's experience, a 1-star Shula's Steakhouse is better than a 5-star McDonald's any day. But it's going to be harder for that steakhouse to get 5 stars because the expectation.
So are you telling me that you believe in your heart that people have vulnerable feelings, but taco stands don't?
What I'm saying, Fred, is it's better to be a McDonald's person than a Shula's Steakhouse person. That's what I'm telling you. Keep expectations low. Now, Fred, if and when this thing takes off, and you know that there's a review of you on People,
yes,
are you going to want to read those reviews?
Not only am I reading reviews, I'm steady writing reviews. And I'm writing glowing reviews, and I have a service that I have set up with a Square or PayPal account where you can contact me, and for a minimal fee, I'm going to say $3. I will write a either praising review of you or a scathing review of anyone that you want.
That's good. That's very that's very enterprising of you.
Well, and speaking up, because what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start my own job, Mike, because whenever my boss goes and looks at all the reviews of me online, I'm going to lose my job real effing quick.
Right. All those people from that high school union you started but never showed up to.
This thing is yeah, I'm looking at your application here, Mr. Parsons. It says you have extensive skills in radio. It says you've managed upwards of 3 fantasy hockey teams. And I'm sorry, your people review came out just a little outside of our comfort zone, but good luck in your job search.
Well, let's see here. This guy on People says you are a faggot, but that's okay because we're equal opportunity here. Fred, this is the game that's good. This app's going to play with everyone's mind. Okay, you're going to hear that, or you're going to know that there's a review of you out there, and you're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to read it. I don't need to read it. I don't care what people think about me. But you're going to sit there and you're going to think about it, and then you're going to read it. And you're probably going to get there's probably going to be 100 reviews of you, and 99 of them will be 5 stars. And then that one person that you didn't know you pissed off is going to go on there and tee off on you, and it's going to tear you apart.
For a long time, we did the Two of a Skydive program, and we did the Two of a Skydive program for about 3 years, Mike. And we would regularly receive reviews on the Two of a Skydive program. They would be in our different outlets, right?
Yeah.
So we would often receive reviews that were like, "Hey, you guys suck. It's amateur hour. Your guest sucks. All your points suck. I don't have a lot of other like adjectives besides really. So you really suck." And then we would take those reviews and we would put them out to our fans through our social media outlets, and we would use them as ammunition. And that was our medicine for that. Like we combated it, but as an individual, you don't necessarily have that. You don't have that opportunity. So like, just like we can compare Rate My Professor, right?
Right.
So when I was in college and there was a professor I didn't like the mature, 19-year-old kid I was like, Mr. So-and-so is a stinky butt.
This guy's a jerk. He actually held me accountable and made me do my homework.
Oh God, I mean, this is the slipperiest. There's gonna be a lot of lawsuits. Nothing's gonna work about this.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this thing never gets off the ground, because it is a terrible box of worms. Is that the can of worms? That's it. It's both of them. It's a terrible box full of cans of worms.
Pandora's box full of canned worms
for the homeless. Except it'll poison the homeless, and then they'll all come and kill the rest of us because we brought it upon ourselves. Now, Fred, I guess the one saving grace on this is that no one's allowed to leave an anonymous review, but it's pretty. I wonder if they have safeguards against fake accounts.
Oh, because this is. A lot of people say, "Hey, trolls live under bridge." No, trolls live on this app now.
Yeah.
This is where you go when I got 10 minutes to kill because I'm taking public transit somewhere. But here's what I'm doing. Writing a review about the guy sitting next to me on the bus.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, what's your name? Okay. Hey, guess what? I just told everyone on People that you stink.
And what if there's like a database where you can look up individuals, right? So say you go to, I don't know, you go to a business and there's a receptionist or a front desk clerk or whatever, you're at the local car dealership. And let's just say she's kind of a butt, right? She's kind of not the coolest girl you've ever met. And then maybe there's like a proximity thing to like where I don't know how it works. I don't have the app. But then you can that second say, just trying to buy a job, not get treated like shit. And then you're reviewing.
Well, one thing that might happen too, Fred, is that writing a bad review may reflect more poorly on the person writing it than the person it's being written about.
Ooh, okay.
And I can only hope that what happens with the People app, it'll meet the same fate as Yelp. Sometimes, you'll go on Yelp now, and there's a whole bunch of services out there that, they'll give you 5-star ratings. They'll write great reviews and kind of push those bad reviews down to the bottom, almost to the point now that whenever you look something up, the good reviews are all the same for the different companies. So Yelp has kind of lost its credibility, and people don't know what's real and what's fake on there. And hopefully that happens with this People app.
Well, maybe I was going to say maybe there'll be like a reputation-ish counter towards like, say I give Mike Parsons a good review and then I get like 1 good point. But then say I give like so-and-so a bad review and I'm back down to like neutral points.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because it says, hey, this guy gave this person a bad review, but look, this guy has a history of giving everyone a bad review, so take it with a grain of salt.
And that we're going to get into like a real micro-y shit. Like my cell phone battery is not going to last long enough for me.
There's only one solution, Fred. The more we talk about this thing in circles, we have to find the server and we have to burn the building down.
Arson, yeah.
Well, we may go to jail, but it's like going back in time and killing Hitler as a baby. Yeah, okay. Everyone's going to be mad at you because you killed a baby, but they don't know what that baby would grow up to be.
You cannot kill sweet, innocent baby Hitler. Are you being serious?
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. If you were to go back in time and kill one baby, Hitler would be that baby.
Yeah. But what if you were just like more like assertive to him, like as like a father figure or something, and then
like go back in time and raise him to be more loving?
Yeah, right. What if you became like his what was that guy's name? Rummels, not Rummels.
Fred, Fred, as a time traveling renegade lawman taking the law into his own hands, I don't have time to raise baby Hitler to be more loving. I have to go back in time. You know what? Fine. You know what? I'll put him up for adoption with a nice family who will teach him tolerance.
Joseph Goebbels. Oh, I should have had that. That is so.
But
I have a historical studies degree, Mike, and I blew that.
Hey, it happens to a lot of guys. It doesn't matter because we're out of time anyway.
Put that on my People review.
Yeah. History studies major my ass. This guy's a fraud. I hear he cheated.
I know we got to go, but every morning when I'm meeting with like my part-timers, that's what they're going to be going over is like if they got any new reviews the next day. Like this thing's going to be overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, look, we already lost a whole bunch of productivity on Facebook. This is going to be the final nail in the coffin of the U.S. economy because our productivity. We're not going to spend any time manufacturing goods. We're going to be spending time battling negative People app reviews. We got to go. We'll be back a week from Sunday. Fred, see you then.
Hey, my People review for Mike Parsons. He has an STD. Bye.
Fred, life is an STD. Okay. Well, good. That was fun. I think I know we didn't want to start off that heavy topic, but I thought it went well.
Hey, I had so many jokes for that.
What about the People app?
Oh my God, my head was just going like crazy. Yeah,
you know what I found? I found like the more I think about stuff before the show, the more I'll like think of what I want to say, and then when the show starts, I like can't stay focused because I want to focus on. I want to get in everything I want to say.
I'll create dummy, like I'll be the guy on People that will create like a dummy account. So I'll create like jerk off in the red car that drives around Wood River. And then everyone is going to know who that is. Right. So everyone's going to review him. And then I'm going to take a lot of pride in that.
You know what? It'd be like Twitter, fake Twitter accounts get so many followers. Maybe that's like the new thing in like guerrilla digital marketing.
Like, I agree completely. So like, it would be like Fred Slow, but it would be spelled with like a PH, know?
Or not Fred Slow. And it would say things that you wouldn't say. Like, hey, everybody, I'll see you at the high school reunion.
No, I would never say that.
Yeah, right. Not Fred Slow. When we did the sports show, there was a not Kyle Bauer Twitter.
And somebody that was you created it? Or not you, I mean?
Yeah, someone who wasn't me.
When I was in high school, my legal name is Manfred. You know.
Yeah, I know.
So when I was in high school, somebody, and I to this day don't know who it is, created a it wasn't SoundCloud. It was some band website where they were all linked together. But
Yeah.
the name of their band on the website, what was it?
Was it Reverb Nation?
Yeah, I think it was Reverb Nation. And he created a band, and the name of their band was the Manfred Slow Experience. and I never found out who it was. And I started throwing it out there like, whoever's doing this, I'm gonna cause a hard time to. And then they eventually changed it, and so that was the end of it. But I never ever to today I don't even know who it was.
They should have called it Manfred Manslow or something.
Okay, I mean, don't rub salt. I mean, that's.
I could just think. I could just think of better smack to talk. That's all.
Good job on this. I think we're doing a really good job. There was like 2 or 3 things I wanted to talk about real quick. If we can get we need to get like an affiliate thing for like with the holidays coming up.
Yeah.
So maybe like something through like Amazon or something.
Oh, like a store or something.
Yeah. And then only push it for like the holidays, obviously.
I know we set one up at Tap Detroit, but I think Olin did that. So I think my email address is still open.
Well, I can't do it in Illinois.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah, it's against the law.
Okay.
So we'll have to do it based out of where you're at. And then I was looking into like some advertising options and stuff. I think what we need to do is find some like online only businesses because we don't have like a real solid foundation anywhere.
Right.
So I was thinking we need like some sort of we need to find like GoFundMe's and like